And our second main topic today gets submitted to us by Allan Schroeder, who writes, "Hey, John and crew, love the show and hope you're doing well." Thank you so much, Allan. I am doing great, thanks. I just saw an article claiming that Marvel Studios is working on a World War Hulk film that is set to start production late next year, and that the She-Hulk show would be setting it up. I know this isn't coming from one of the main trades, so I am quite a bit skeptical that this is happening. What are your thoughts on this? Okay, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, listen, if you don't know, Planet Hulk and World War Hulk are a pair, they go hand in hand. There's the Planet Hulk storyline and there's the World War Hulk storyline, but they are absolutely connected to each other. And they're really a couple of the greatest stories in comic books in the last 30 years. I mean, they're just great. I mean, I don't have them as high as, say, I do for Age of Apocalypse or things like that, or Nightfall, but the Planet Hulk and World War Hulk storylines are absolutely fascinating. I think the best Hulk storylines ever, and I know maybe that sounds a little stereotypical, but honestly, I think they're like a couple of the best Hulk storylines ever. And I love these things. And there has been whispers for years about the idea of them doing a Planet Hulk movie, which they did do a crappy little animated movie about, and a World War Hulk storyline. Now, for those of you who don't know, here's the basic gist of it, okay? And I'm leaving out every single major detail, but here's the basic gist of it. A couple of the leading heroes in the world, I believe refer to themselves as the Illuminati, I think, Charles Xavier, Namor, Black Panther, Reed Richards, a couple of Iron Man, Tony Stark. They have this kind of group that kind of like, they make all the decisions for the world in secret, right? To try to keep the world safe and all that kind of stuff. And they decide after Bruce Banner has an episode that the Hulk is simply too dangerous for the world. And they all love Bruce, but he's just too dangerous. And so what they do is they put him on a ship, fly him into space. Now, this is basically Planet Hulk. He ends up on a planet that ends up being a gladiatory planet. He has to fight as a gladiator. He rises up, conquers the world, gets a wife, has a kid, all this kind of stuff. But then the ship that he landed in explodes and it kills everybody, almost everybody, including his wife and child. Now Hulk's mad. And that's basically Planet Hulk. Again, I'm being very, 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 very vague here, but that's Planet Hulk. World War Hulk is, understandably, Hulk is now pissed. He's very pissed. And he decides he's going back to Earth and he's going to take out everyone that was even remotely responsible for sending him out there in the first place. And basically you have this storyline now, World War Hulk, where basically Hulk is going around taking out everyone. Everyone who tries to stand in his way. One of my favorite parts is when he actually ends up at the X-Mansion because he's going after Charles and all the X-Men are like trying to stop Hulk and Beast is trying to like talk him down. It's a fantastic scene. It's a fantastic scene. Anyway, all that being said, to the emailer, yeah, there's been a report going out that World War Hulk is getting made, that they're actually planning on shooting it soon. This comes to us from the folks over at CBR who write, rumors suggest that there may be plans for the Incredible Hulk to finally get a solo film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that will follow up on Mark Ruffalo's appearance in the upcoming Disney Plus She-Hulk series and will allegedly involve adapting the famous World War Hulk storyline from their comics. And that, of course, again, comes to us from CBR. So the question is, could this rumor be true? Could it be true? Well, a couple of things need to be said here. On the one hand, you got to understand it's coming, like they said in the email, it's not coming from what we would call a reliable news source, okay? Those are the major trades. Variety, The Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, The Wrap, things like that. Entertainment Weekly. The actual industry leaders who actually know everybody in the business and all that kind of stuff. Now, that's not to say that there obviously aren't some stories that don't break initially in the major trades. Obviously, they do. But you do have to take this with a grain of salt, a massive grain of salt, that this has not come from one of those. It comes from a smaller outlet. Now, I think there are some reasons why you could buy into this and reason why we shouldn't buy into this theory. And for that, let's jump over to the Campea classroom. Okay. And we're going to start things with saying pros. Like, why could we maybe believe this could happen? All right. Let's look at some of the pros. Hulk has been very criminally underused in the MCU. Hulk has been very underused up until this point. Like when you go to the first Avengers movie, I talk about this a lot. In the first Avengers movie, Hulk is basically the nuclear option. Like he's the ultimate threat. Like even Loki said the ultimate part of his goal was, you've got the monster on your ship now. And he's going to blow, right? We see Hulk single-handedly with one punch taking down the big space flying worm in the invasion. Like it's Hulk. He's the ultimate nuclear option. We have a Hulk. Now they kind of started to neuter him a bit after that. And they never really got back to making any more standalone things. There are reasons for that, which we'll talk about in a second, but he has been very underused. At the most, he was used as a secondary character in Thor Ragnarok, which I love that movie and I love the way they used Hulk, but at most he's been a secondhand character. So there's that. Then the other reason why you could believe this is that World War Hulk is a fantastic story. World War Hulk is an absolutely fantastic story. It's wide-reaching in scope. It actually incorporates like all of the MCU or a whole bunch of, not the MCU, but the Marvel comic world. You get to see Hulk at his absolute most ferocious, monstrous, violent best, filled with rage and anger. You know, the angrier Hulk gets, the stronger he gets, and he ain't ever been angrier. And to see him going up against and defeating like the top of as far as like Marvel heroes go and everything, it's a pretty impressive sight. But at its core too, it's a great story about a man and his pain and what pain can do to somebody. And that is always a great spark for a story. So it's a great story, great action. It's absolutely fantastic. So it's great. A third reason is Mark Ruffalo is appearing in She-Hulk. So the rumor going around is that She-Hulk is going to be the launching point for World War Hulk. Now, we do know Mark Ruffalo is going to be appearing in She-Hulk. So is that evidence there's going to be a World War Hulk movie? No. But is it anecdotal? I mean, is it circumstantial? Sure. It's yet another thing there that suggests that maybe this could be happening. Okay. So Hulk has been very criminally underused in the MCU. World War Hulk is a fantastic story, and Mark Ruffalo is appearing in She-Hulk. So if you're going to be somebody who believes this report that they're about to start making a World War Hulk movie in 2022, like in just a number of months, there are some reasons there for you to believe it. I think there are. Okay. But I also believe there are reasons not to believe it. So let's get over here and talk cons. Okay. First thing is first. Universal still owns the distribution rights to Hulk. Now, you might say, but John, I heard that Marvel got those rights back. I heard those whispers too, but that's never been verified. The studios have never confirmed that. None of the major trades have ever confirmed that. Yeah, but because you got to remember, there were whispers that Marvel or DC, or I should say Disney, got the distribution rights to any Hulk solo project back years and years and years ago. And then we found out that that wasn't true. And then those same rumors sparked up again. So it could be that in secret that nobody knows about, that Disney got those distribution rights back. But as of right now, the official word is that they haven't. So we have to go with that for now. The reason that's important is this. Disney has not been interested in making a standalone Hulk movie that they don't get to distribute themselves. Because if they make a standalone Hulk movie, they don't get to distribute it. Universal gets it. And Universal gets to distribute it. That's the existing rights that they have. Because remember, there are two sets of rights. There's production rights. Do you have the right to make the movie? Then there's distribution rights, which is what do you do with the movie once it gets made? And as far as we know, while there have been whispers that Disney has gotten those rights back. That's never been verified. So we got to go with the assumption for now, which could be wrong. But for now, we at least got to go with the assumption that Universal still has its distribution rights. And if that's the case, there's no reason Disney would want to make a standalone Hulk movie just for Universal to get to go and distribute it. All right. Next thing, we already talked about this. This rumor did not come from a reliable outlet. Now, when I say reliable, there are lots of outlets out there that are not the major trades that you can say are reliable. When I'm saying reliable here, what I mean by that is the standard, tested, tried and true, the real outlets, Variety, not John Campea, not whatever other else out there, but the real reliable sources. Deadline, Hollywood Reporter, Variety, things like that. This does not come from there. So you always got to take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. The other reason why this is something that maybe you shouldn't believe is true is this. The story is huge. World War Hulk. Now, the comics are the comics. The movies are movies. They're two different things. You adapt them differently. But the setup for World War Hulk is Planet Hulk. And it's massive. And it's huge. This rumor going around that says they're going to set up World War Hulk in She-Hulk? Really? Mark Ruffalo, from every report we've heard, actually plays a pretty small part in this show. And whether that's true or not, I don't know. We'll find out. You and I will both find out soon enough. But really, as a secondary or third level character, who's going to have minority of screen time, they're going to use that in a She-Hulk show that's about something else to set up World War Hulk? I don't know. That seems a little out there. So the story is just huge for setting it up as a little side note in a She-Hulk TV series. It just doesn't seem to track. The other thing is this. The MCU is not set up for a World War Hulk story right now. At least it doesn't feel like it. Now, this could be all part of the grand machinations of one Kevin Feige and all that kind of stuff. Absolutely. Maybe yes, maybe no. But it just does not seem like it's in a place right now where literally as soon as 2023, we could be getting Hulk versus everybody. Especially again, now I love the Russo brothers and all the movies they have done. My one little nitpick with Joe and Anthony Russo, and I love these guys. I love them. But my one little nitpick about their handling of their MCU films is that they neutered Hulk. They basically turned Hulk into something lesser than what he should be. Does that make me a drooling Hulk fanboy? Maybe it does. I can live with that. So anyway, there are pros. There are reasons to believe this report. Hulk has been criminally underused. The World War Hulk story is fantastic. Mark Ruffalo is in fact appearing in She-Hulk. However, I also believe there are some strong reasons not to believe this rumor. Universal still owns the distribution rights to Hulk as far as we know. And as long as that is the case, they ain't going to make another Hulk movie. The rumor did not come from one of the actual main outlets, which, you know, if this was true, you would think they would have heard of it. The story is just too huge and vast, and the MCU doesn't seem to be set up for it. Now, I am not definitively sitting here and telling you guys that this is not true. I am telling you I do not believe this is true. I believe that the outlet that's reporting this was told this. Like, I'm not saying the outlet that's spreading this rumor is lying. I'm not saying that. I believe they were probably told that, but I just don't believe the information. Now, look, we can talk about, there's a difference between what I'm telling you is fact and what I'm telling you is what I believe. Like, there's a big NFL weekend coming up, and I could tell you guys that I believe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to win this weekend. But I don't know that they're going to win. Like, they could lose. I'm just telling you, I think they're going to win. I believe they're going to win. When it comes to this, I believe that this rumor is false. I believe it's not true. Doesn't mean it's impossible that it could be. And as new information comes out, maybe we'll adjust everything. But I'll tell you what, Aaron, I would love for this to be true. Because like I said, this World War Hulk storyline is vast. It like truly brings the entire, it has the potential of bringing the entire MCU together. Because if you've got a true Hulk going straight up red rage mad, you've got to have Doctor Strange, and you've got to have Shang-Chi, and you've got to have the Eternals, and you got to have Ant-Man and War Machine and Captain Marvel, and you got to have all of them. You got to have them all. And you got to have the X-Men, which are going to be coming sooner or later thing. You got to have them all. So I would love it. I'm drooling a little bit in my mouth right now, just thinking about the on-screen possibilities. But I think the evidence is stacked against us, so I don't believe it's going to happen, but God, I hope it does. Aaron, you've heard about all this. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that you have never read Planet Hulk or World War Hulk. But hearing as a fan, as an observer, as a fan, what do you think about the sounds of this? Would you be interested in the story? And seeing the stuff that I laid out, do you believe it is happening or is not happening? What do you think?
Oh my gosh, so many things to say. First of all, it's shocking the similarities between what happened to Bruce and what happened to you.
Of course.
You know, because similarly, you were also sent from Burbank way out into the middle of, you know, the desert in California because you're just too dangerous.
I'm too dangerous. Can't be in LA.
You're just too dangerous. LA couldn't handle you. Sorry, I've been sitting on that joke for like 30 minutes during Campea Classroom. I just had to get it out there. I don't think this is going to happen yet. I think there's absolutely a world in which this will happen and could happen and should happen, but I don't think it's going to happen yet. And here's why. For the singular reason that the MCU really has allowed their introduction of characters to a larger audience. Of course, I'm speaking from the perspective of someone who's not as familiar with the comic books and who doesn't know the canon. You know, they really want to they give the audience an opportunity to get to know their new characters and to fall in love with their new characters without saying, okay, yeah, but now we're gonna do this other thing. You know, we got to meet, again, for those of us who were not already familiar with the comic books, we got to meet Wanda and get to know her story. And then from there, we got to meet Agatha. And now we know that that's going to be coming, you know, spinning off into its own series. And that's exciting because we've already fallen in love with that world. I think that because the story of Hulk and the idea of World War Hulk, which I have to really enunciate because it's a tongue twister, because the idea of that is so massive and would be so anticipated, that the sheer suggestion of it would certainly overshadow what's going to be developing with the story of She-Hulk. I don't think that that's something that is going to be entertained in the near future as a possibility for now. I really think that they're going to let She-Hulk play out, let the audience, the wider audience, fall in love with the characters that are in that series. And then from that world, that will ultimately develop into what we see as World War Hulk. Like you said, in the classroom, it's a great idea. Hulk is underused. Maybe there's some sort of legal stuff that needs to be worked out on distribution, because you're absolutely right. There's no way in hell that Disney is going to be like, sure, we'll make it and you can reap all the financial benefits from distributing it. That is just not going to happen. It would make no financial sense at all. But it's a great idea. Another idea that I think really is something that should be considered is just forget the whole, the canon, forget the comic books, forget the actual origin story. I want to see a Planet Hulk film that's really just about a bunch of scientific intellectuals walking around, living their best life and being very diplomatic and professional with one another until someone just gets cut off in traffic and then they all turn into Hulks at the same time. Like, I want Planet Hulk of nothing but Bruce Banners and Hulks who all live in community. And then just every once in a while, everybody freaks the fuck out on each other and they all just, that's what I would like to see. It makes absolutely no sense with the origin story of Hulk, but just, hey, Kevin Feige, you don't have anything else going on. Do me a solid and just make it for me. Those are my thoughts on that. I think you're absolutely right. we should see that, and I hope that we do see that, but I don't think that we are going to see that in the very near future, and I don't think that She-Hulk is going to be the vehicle which is then overshadowed by that very awesome and exciting story.
Yeah, someday it gets made. Someday it gets made.
Yes.
It's going to be a big, expensive thing. One other thing I forgot to mention in the classroom too is that like Thor Ragnarok actually adopted a lot of Planet Hulk's story. Like basically Thor Ragnarok is a second step cousin removed of Planet Hulk. It took a lot of the elements of Planet Hulk and they just used it in a Thor movie where Hulk was too. But that doesn't mean that they can't do World War Hulk. Question is for you guys. What do you think about this? Do you actually think they're shooting a World War Hulk movie in several months here once we get into 2022? I don't believe they are, but I'm open to new information coming to light to change my mind, because I'll tell you what, straight up, I would love to see it. I would absolutely love to see this. I've been wanting to see this for a long time, but I don't think it's happening right now. Maybe you do. Whatever you guys are feeling right now, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.